Hello class, you're welcome to Direct Stars. In our maths class today, we're looking at adding and subtracting standard form. Last week we looked at multiplying and dividing standard form, and today we'll be looking at adding and subtracting standard form. The aim of this lesson is to understand how to add and subtract in standard form. And the objective of this lesson is that at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to accurately perform this operation and also know how to express the result in standard form. So let's look at how to add and subtract numbers that are in standard form. You should recall from our last class that standard form are expressed in this form. We have 6.7 multiplied by 10 raised to the power of 2, where the 6.7 is known as the front number, and it's a number that is greater than or equals to 1, but less than 10. And we have this power. It can be, or it can take a positive integer or a negative integer. Now, let's now look at steps in adding or subtracting numbers in standard form. The first thing is that both standard form must have the same powers. They must have the same powers. That's very important. And the second point to note is that only add or subtract the front numbers. And lastly, you have to check your answer to see that it's in the correct standard form. So we're going to demonstrate this in the 3 examples that we're looking at in this topic. Example 1. Here we are asked to calculate 2.1 multiplied by 10 raised to the power of 4, then plus under standard form, which is 3.7 multiplied by 10 raised to the power of 4. So if you look at this two standard form, you can see that they have the same powers. This first standard form has 4 to be the power, and this also has 4 to be the power. So it means that what we can now add the front numbers. Add the front numbers. So 2.1 plus 3.7, we're going to have this to be 5.8. Then since they have the same power, then we can just have an answer to be 5.8 times 10 raised to the power of 4. So finding the sum of 2.1 times 10 raised to the power of 4 plus 3.7 times 10 raised to the power of 4, we're going to have an answer to be 5.8 times 10 raised to the power of 4. Now let's look at example 2, where we have different powers. Number 2, we are asked to calculate 7.3 multiplied by 10 raised to the power of 6, then minus 3.2 times 10 raised to the power of 5. Now, if we look at the powers that we have in the standard form, they are not the same. The first power here is 6, while the second power that we have here is 5. So what we're going to do here is to make sure that they both have the same powers. And it's always easier to pick the bigger number that we have there in the power. So we can still have this to be equals to 7.3 times 10 raised to the power of 6 minus, now we want to increase the power, which is 10 raised to the power 5, we want to make it to be 10 raised to the power 6. So increasing the power is going to reduce the front number by one decimal place. So meaning that we're going to have this 3.2 to be 0.32. The front number has been reduced by one decimal place, then it means that what the power will have to increase by 1. So we can have this to be 10 raised to the power of 6. So looking at these two standard form now, they now have the same powers. Then we can now subtract the front number. So we can have this now to be, that's 7.3 minus 0.32. So we can have that now to be 6.98. You can now multiply it by the power, which is 10 raised to the power of 6. So 7.3 times 10 raised to the power of 6 minus 3.2 times 10 raised to the power of 5. We're going to have our answer to be 6.98 times 10 raised to the power of 6. So let's look at the last example. Example 3. Here we are asked to calculate 7.4 times 10 raised to the power of 8 plus 9.5 times 10 raised to the power of 9. Just as we have it in example 2, if you look at the powers that we have here, they are not the same. We have the first power here to be 8, and we have here to be 9. So it means that what you have to make sure that they both have the same powers. And like I said, it's easier picking the bigger number that we have there in the powers. So it means that what we want to change, I want to have 7.4 times 10 raised to the power 8. I want to make that 10 raised to the power 8 to be 10 raised to the power 9. So just as what we looked at in example 2, if we increase the power by 1, then it means that what we have to decrease or reduce the front number by one decimal place. So it means that we can have the first standard form to be 0.74 times 10 raised to the power of 9. If you look at this, we reduce the front number by one decimal place and we increase the power by 1. Then plus, that's 9.5 multiplied by 10 raised to the power of 9. So looking at this now, we now have the same powers. Then we can add up the front number. That's 0.74 plus 9.5. Adding these two up, we're going to have it to be 10.24. Then times 10 raised to the power of 9. But if we look at this, this is not in the correct form of a standard form because the front number is a number that is greater than or equals to 1 but less than 10. But here we have the front number to be 10.24. So meaning that what is not in the right form of the standard form. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to reduce the front number by one decimal place. And from there, we're going to increase the power by 1. So reducing 10.24 by one decimal place, we're going to have it to be 1.024. And with that, we're going to increase the power by 1. And that's going to give us times 10 raised to the power of 10. Looking at this now, the front number is now a number that is greater than or equals to 1, but less than 10. So adding 7.4 times 10 raised by 8 plus 9.5 times 10 raised by 9, we're going to have our answer to be 1.024 times 10 raised to the power of 10. So that'll be all for today's class. And if you haven't subscribed, do well to subscribe now. Thank you and see you in the next class. Bye.